Grief is something that is a very taboo subject in Western society. It is something that we avoid. It is something that we are very uncomfortable with. It is something that people do not want to talk about. Grief and loss is something that connects all of us as human beings. It is something that we are guaranteed to face at some point in our lives in one way or another. However, it's something that feels very impossible to ever really prepare for or imagine. So when you're dealing with unexpected loss of a loved one, it can be a very isolating experience because the people that you thought were closest to you can actually be the ones that make the process even more difficult, and can actually be the ones that hurt you the most as you're going through the grief and the mourning. Grief is a profound experience because it's something that it changes you on such an extreme level, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and your brain literally has to basically rewire itself to adjust to such an extreme circumstance. Your brain will kind of activate its lizard brain, its survival brain, if you will, and you will literally be dealing with emotional whiplash. You will be dealing with shock. You are going to have to give yourself the grace and the space and the time. Because as we all understand, grief and healing is not a linear process. There's no way to expedite the healing process. As much as we would want to, there is no way to expedite it. There's no way to avoid it. So if you resist those feelings of grief, if you try to run away from it, your body will catch up to you. It will catch up to you in some way. And that can be extremely daunting. But that's why it's so important when you're going through grieving and mourning. It really will force you to learn how to listen to your needs. And those needs are going to change day by day. And so it's going to look like really just waking up every day and asking yourself, okay, what do I need today? Right? And you may find that, the grief in the morning brings a lot of stress. That is going to get stored in your body as well. It can manifest itself through like aches and pains. You might just be dealing with a lot of brain fog. You're not able to string sentences together. You're not able to remember things clearly. A big thing is you just might forget things all the time. Like you just might become extremely forgetful because your body is using so much energy to survive. It is a survival process. You might think that your brain's not working, my body's not working. Your brain and your body is actually working like a fucking machine all the time, but especially when it's put into that survival mode, and that is something that grief can and will cause. Your brain and your body is rewiring itself. It's going through this transformation, and it's having to deal with something gone, and it's having to deal with that. You are literally a different person. And what grief does is it really, it makes us rely on ourselves. And unfortunately, the people that are very close to us, because grief is such a taboo subject in our society, it is something where the people around you may not know how to show up for you. They may not, it will make them very uncomfortable. And so they're not going to know what the fuck to say. Most people are not going to be able to know what the fuck to say to you. And that is a very, very hard thing to reckon with, because you want to lean on your support system. You want to have that safety net. And sometimes that safety net might just be a few people, or maybe it's people that you were not as close with before this experience. And you find that people in your outer circle or outer community are actually the ones that are really stepping in and are really showing up. Sometimes the people very close to us get very uncomfortable and can really just poof and disappear. Do not take any bullshit during this time. It is okay to be selfish. It is okay to give yourself time and space. It is okay to not be able to give in the way that you were able to give before. And if people are still putting pressure on you and are still kind of expecting things out of you during this time, then they need to be completely removed, right? You owe nobody anything. You do not owe anyone anything. And if certain people are not able to understand that, then they do not deserve any of your time. And sometimes the things that you might need are just not responding to anyone. You might just need a lot of space. You might not have the energy to be calling on the phone. You might not have the energy to be meeting up with people in person or having conversations. People who are trying to put pressure on you to do those things to make themselves feel better, they need to be gone. They need to go. Bye. Done. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to feel like I'm doing something. I want to feel like I'm helping. Sometimes that means giving that person space and waiting until they are comfortable. Do not let other people make your grief about themselves. That is one of the most painful parts of the grieving process, is when you feel like people are trying to insert their feelings into your grief. So you're like, well, I would love to do this with you. Please call me back. Please text me back. People who are calling you back, trying to call you, trying to get some type of validation from you. People who feel insecure because you're not really leaning on them. These are examples of people who are making it about themselves. People who assume that maybe plans that you had before this loss happened are still going to move forward. People who are not being sensitive to your feelings. People who maybe lack, emotional maturity. These are people that are going to be extremely hard to be around. And the grieving process will really force you into learning how to set boundaries for yourself, right? And that is something that you need to maybe sit down with and really think about again, like, this is what I need. If they're not able to do that for you, then you need to, again, just focus on yourself and focus on how to bring yourself comfort. And that might mean allowing yourself to, again, take some space from people who are really making things more difficult. Because again, people don't really understand things unless they themselves have experienced it. And so that's why counselors are so important. That's why support groups are so great. Is because, other people who have not experienced unexpected major loss, right? They're not going to help you feel understood, right? No one else can really help you feel understood except yourself, right? Make yourself feel understood, right? Rely on yourself. These are things that unfortunately are going to be what helps you to survive this. And it's important to have those moments where you can cry on someone's shoulder and have that trust with someone. But it's okay if you don't have that trust with anyone yet. The moments that have been really great for me is when I have been able to just cry into someone's shoulder or whatever, and they're not trying to fix it. They're not trying to fix it because you can't fix this. You can't make it better. But just being there, having your presence there, and just not trying to tell me, oh, it's going to be okay, or it could have been worse, or whatever, just being there physically and just letting me have and express these feelings and not internalizing it and not taking it personally, but just being there physically and just being a secure force. That is what people need when they're grieving. They do not need your platitudes, right? Don't ever blame yourself during this process, right? Let other people reveal their character to you, period. There is nothing that you have to do. There is nothing that has to be rushed, right? Do not listen to people who tell you not to cry. I actually hate when anyone says, no matter what the situation is, don't cry. Why is crying seen as a bad thing? It is your body's way of releasing the trauma, right? Of emotionally expressing yourself. If you don't feel safe and vulnerable around certain people during your grieving process, that is okay. Your only job is to keep yourself afloat. Nothing else. I love you, and I'll probably do more of these videos. You do not need to accommodate anyone else but yourself during this time.